Hi, welcome to Get Known, Be Seen WebTV. I'm Trish Springsteen, your host, and it's my delight to bring this show to you. Get Known, Be Seen WebTV has two components. We showcase authors or people who've got a new product or a new message who are taking that deep breath, stepping up and wanting to be seen and to be known. We also showcase experts who come on and share tips and strategies on how you can get known, be seen. So today, it's my great pleasure to bring to you an author, Janice Muir. Welcome, Janice.
G'day, Trish. How are you?
Great. Awesome to have you with us.
Thank you.
Before we get into our conversation with Janice, let's learn a little bit more about Janice and what she's been doing. Janice Muir led a relatively quiet life until being faced with a few of life's adversities. She was strong and gained her strength to fight and keep the dream alive. Janice has witnessed and experienced many life-changing events in her lifetime, and these have covered coping and losing her partner with Alzheimer's dementia, her own diverse health issues with cervical cancer and breast cancer 6 months apart. She's written 2 books to inspire teenagers to find their passion, and she was retrenched from 33 years in public service. She's had a world open to be an online entrepreneur, and she's faced the loss of both parents in a short space of time. Janice has gone through an awful lot in her life, and a lot of this has been reflected in her books. And just recently, Janice created an online course presence in self-help process that walks you through the early stages of alignment in getting your book written. Life throws challenges to us to help us grow, to find a better way to achieve more. And that's exactly what Janice shares with you. Not only to bring about awareness, but to open your heart to reach inside to find that essence of who you really are. Janice believes that to achieve something, you must first believe. And before that, it is good that you have a vision of that outcome as well. Welcome, Janice. It's my delight to have you here. And we're going to explore some of those issues.
Oh, just a teeny weeny bit, Trish.
Well, yes, just a teeny weeny bit, Janice, because if we went to explore all of those, we'd be here for quite a while.
Oh, that's a book in itself, Trish.
Absolutely. So I've shared a little bit in your bio about your journey. So just give us a little bit from your perspective of how you've got to where you are now. Just a couple of the highlights. I've shared some of them, but I'd like you to just take a little bit about, well, what you were doing before and just maybe where you are now and what it means to you to have come that far.
You know the word invincible? I could have said I was invincible. And it was like a brick wall hitting me right head on with the diagnosis of breast cancer. Prior to that, as you've mentioned, you know, facing and coping with my partner's loss with Alzheimer's dementia. Nothing could have prepared me for any of that. The Alzheimer's dementia side really went, oh my Lord, you know, what am I facing here? It actually helped me see different aspects of my life to change that around. So nothing has, yes, everything has been a challenge, but nothing has been the challenge to stop me. I know that sounds double Dutch, but the bottom is I had to go through that challenge to be where I am today. So I looked the gift horse in the mouth and I was the bull at the gate. I had a mindset around what else can I do that can move me forward, basically. And I'm here today to share the story with you, Trish.
Awesome, awesome. And just how many books have you written in that period of time?
4 books have been written. Another book is half to 3/4 done around the Alzheimer's journey. And there's another 4 on the backbench, more around people's journey. And I'll just use my niece as an example, what she went through to go from school into education as a teacher. To be able to share that journey in some way, shape or form as inspiration to that younger generation.
Awesome. What was the thing that started you saying, oh, I need to share my story in a book? What was it that prompted you to start writing?
Trish, as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, maybe even being 8 years of age, I can't remember the specifics. I just know exactly where I was. But I loved composition at school, as it was called then. And, you know, I would often write the story and what we today call a blog, because it was only a short story. But I was often the person that was the horse, I was the dog, I was the bird, I could have been the pig for all that matter, but I was looking back on everybody else. So I was writing in the third person. I didn't know why. And the school teacher actually said to me, "Why are you always the animal? Why can't you be you?" And I looked at him and said, "What?" I didn't know that I was doing that, and I did that naturally. So it took another 35, 40 years before I actually started to write. So I knew there was a component inside of me. It then took another probably 10 years to find the actual message of my writing ability. And that became that I would write in the first person. So, you know, we all know what that vision is inside of us. We just have to learn to know how to follow it. And I loved writing letters. So it was very, very a strong drive in me to want to write once I made the decision, I'm doing this. And it all started to just come naturally for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Some really good points there for people who are thinking about writing, of where they want to go. It has to come from within you. So what has been the challenges for you in doing, like, say, your first book? Was there some specific challenges? What did you learn from that?
Ah, dear, dear. Life gives us so many hurdles.
Yeah, it does.
Look, my first book was, the idea and the concept of the first book, would you believe, came on a journey on the bus coming home from work. An aha moment that went off, and I went, oh, that's it. That's what I'm going to write about. That's it. And I had to I held that thought for nearly an hour. But the beautiful thing was, I'm sitting in a scrunched up bus with a pencil and a paper, and I'm jotting down things that everything that was coming to mind so that I could keep the thought over that thought, over that thought. And it wasn't until I got home and I walked in the door and I said to my partner, don't speak to me. I just need a big sheet of paper. And I went in, and I've still got that piece of paper today as the outline of what the first book was. So there was just a clarity of an aha moment that went boom, because I wanted to write. I just didn't know what I was going to write about at that younger age, and it came to me. The fortitude to be able to hold that thought and then bring it into words. I think there was about 8 or 9, maybe 10 chapters came out of it. And that book was called The Well-Used Key. The other side of that is I wanted to, it's not that I wanted to share my story with it, because I wanted to share it from that third person point of view. So trying to share it from what lessons I'd learned from the book Think and Grow Rich. And that's sort of where I turned it around to be able to share it with the generation through my own personal experiences.
Awesome. Awesome. So that was the challenge, was taking that concept, which led you way out somewhere, and keeping hold of that concept. So from the concept to getting that first book published, where did you go? Did you use a publisher? Did you self-publish? What was that step?
I'd actually visited a personal development session on this particular day. It could have even been a weekend for that matter. And I heard a speaker speak of, find a ghostwriter, find somebody on the internet and get your book written, because that is what they had done. So I came home with that idea, ghostwriter, I'll get them to write it for me and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I found an editor who said, you write, I'll edit. And therein was, you know, purposeful synchronicity of turning everything around, because the writer in me was itching to get out. I needed to find the editor to be able to do the work. Now, the journey took me on many a pathways of highs, lows, ups and downs. And whilst some of the content changed when I rewrote The Well-Used Key, the principle of the message didn't. It actually enhanced. So when you know that you know what you know you need to know, you just go and do it. And that's what I did. I just went and did it. I had the passion within.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so you went to that was a big publisher with that one?
Well, actually, what ended up, I found a printer who published books. So it was just a case of utilising that, and somebody else had advised me. So sorry, I didn't finish that section. The bottom line is that printer then became my publisher for my second edition book, because they said, Jan, the content in the first edition, you need to write this again as a way of expanding it. And then they became the publisher and helped me get through it.
Awesome. Awesome. So you've got a new book out.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about this one and what you've been doing with that, because this has gone a little bit different route to the first one.
This book is speaking about me. You know, the beautiful thing about writing your own journey is it's very healing. Writing your own journey becomes the catalyst of change. And 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago, I had a mentor cross my pathway who actually shared with me a strategy of, you know, what to get out, how to get it out, you know, what points I needed to cover. And whilst I did some of the work, probably all, but some of it was needed to be refreshed, I did the work and I parked it. Life got in the road.
Wow.
And as it does, life will get in the road, because your journey is what your journey is. You need to learn other things in the interim period. But when the passion became congruent back with me, it was no stopping me. Absolutely no stopping me. And I was so grateful that I had done the depth of the work to be able to draw on that. The story became so much easier. And that is what I also share with people. Let's do that groundwork to be able to bring your story out. The bottom line is, let's just get this in perspective. Let me get this off my chest. Coping with breast cancer alone, my personal journey. It took some courage. It took several rewrites. But the bottom line was, I felt a healing process go through me, because I wanted to share the story from the true essence of what I experienced. And not many people actually do that. And that's where I see the world going, is it's through the experience that somebody else will gain better clarity. Oh, I don't have to fight with this. If I do this, this, and this, they're able to do it. So I fell in love with writing about me through this journey.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, that's what the book's about. Let's have a little bit of a look behind the book. How did you do this? Because this wasn't through a publisher. This was something that you published yourself, wasn't it?
Yes, we took a totally different pathway. Well, actually, book number 3, which was called A Vision to Win, that also took a single pathway on its own as well. And I've used the same company, Ingram Spark. So when you become the publisher of your content, it's a completely different process, because you have to learn, understand, get clarity behind all of that jargon, for want of a better word. And I'm not saying this in a disrespect, because you actually learn more stuff about why you're writing your book and the purpose behind what goes into writing a book. That journey alone has stretched me tenfold, because as I've just said, you have to learn new things. But it also gives you I want to use the word tenacity, of strength inside, that you can achieve more than you really give yourself credit for. And that was the biggest aha for me, in stretching that little bit further and going the full Monty, inverted commas, to do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, I would go to the internet to try and find a graphics designer. Wonderful, found a graphics designer. oh dear, we just couldn't get the message right, just the right image, and it wasn't quite right until somebody said to me, oh, why don't you think of this lady, Astrid Kuhn? And the next I know, my goodness, my book was done.
Awesome.
So sometimes it's like acres of diamonds. You don't have to go way out there because it's right in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's right under your nose. And when we take a look at that and we work with that, the journey becomes a lot easier.
Brilliant.
So, you know, find what it is within. Look at that from the point of who could help me and who is close that can help me. Ask the question.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So that's a bit of a background behind producing the book. Let's have a look at how have you leveraged this book? What has it done for you? This one and your other books. How has being published and being an author, how have you made that work for you?
I'm going to say it's been a learning along the way. And I'm being totally honest with you here, Trish. This new pandemic that we've just all experienced, here am I trying to launch a book. Normally a book is done in person. Normally a book is done with one-to-one audience. I brought the book to life through a Zoom call, but we did it in such a way that I think we had about 18 people online, all through a Zoom connection. And the compliments that have occurred for me since that event have just blown me out of the water, because I didn't know how it was going to pan out, how it was going to be accepted on the other side. But the bottom line is it worked. Having key people talk about you and your journey, I think also, you know, close friends were able to share their experiences and what they witnessed through this part of my life. I think it's been, whilst it's been a struggle, I'm also looking from the other side of it that an online launch was fantastic, but a real live launch will be better again. So the experience of being able to do it online just gave me more confidence. This is needed out there. So the challenge of being able to share the book elsewhere has also been on my website, which you can just see up the top above my head. Mm-hmm. So, and I'll go to the side here, so janicemuir.com/books.
Yep.
And I've listed my 4 books on my website. So very simple and easy to buy. The thing is that it's getting the marketing around that out there. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the key factors. Forever talking about it, sharing the value, sharing elements of content. And that is sort of where my pathway has taken me, to be looking at all of those facets and getting deeper and better and smarter in the marketing capacity. Because if you don't market yourself, nobody else is going to market you the way you know how to market.
Absolutely.
And that's the key factor that I'm learning. It's not about your product. It's about the value that you share. And the marketing value that you share is your key factor for people to say, oh, I think I might like to read that, or I might like to do that, whatever that is for you. It's the clarity and the understanding around those parts of marketing that you step it up. Now, whilst I was with the publisher, I had somebody mentoring me through that whole process. There were walls up around me at that time. Oh, I couldn't do that. That's not me. You know, oh, what would they say? Oh, people this, people that. Well, I've just got to the point, and excuse me for saying so, to hell with it. Now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to go, here I am, without saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because that's not marketing.
Yeah.
I want to provide value. I want to provide content that gives you awareness, understanding, and clarity. And that's what's coming through for me at the moment in the way in which I start stepping up to share the message.
Awesome. Awesome. So would you say, for those people out there, there's a lot of people out there say, oh, I don't really want a book. I don't need a book. Would you say that having not just one, but 4 books has helped you to stand out? How have you been able to leverage the fact that you've got a book? What has that done for you in your journey?
This is the part that I had to really accept on a very deep level within, because the fact of writing a book, any book for that matter, the story was, oh, you'll be known as the expert now. That wasn't my aim. I wasn't merely looking to be the expert. I wasn't looking for the fame of that, because I wanted to come from the heartfelt awareness. I wanted to come from being able to share the awareness that your story matters. And sharing this journey, let me get this off my chest. People are going to say, what do you want to get off your chest? Subtitle, Coping with Breast Cancer Alone. Oh my God, people will go yes, or people will go no. That's okay. But somebody will go through that and then realize the depth and the fortitude of what the journey was, sharing the content around losing the sensitivity of my feet from a chemo reaction. I share in the actual book as a way to express. You can't let anything outside of you defeat you. It's about finding what is going to work for you. And I'm going to say that inner strength that comes through for you, your backbone, your spine, your will, whatever you want to call it. I even refer to it as my omnipotent power. And that is the integrity of who I am as a person, the spine of who I am as a person, the strength. Everybody has this. And it's about being able to share that in a soft and gentle message through the journey that you write.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's allowed you then, these books and the way you've written them, has allowed you to reach many more people than what you might have.
Yeah, look, if I could come from a point of family criticism, and I share this as a way of being aware. I was told I didn't have a story. I was told that I wouldn't amount to much. I was told, what would you have to write? Your life's not important. Now, when we hear those words, I could have sunk into the bottom of the dungeons and said, rightio, well, I'll just sit back here. But there was something inside of me that said, you know what? Your life's so different to theirs. I don't have to take on their stuff. It wore me down, I will admit that, but then I did work around that. You have the magnificence within inside of you to be able to share your story. And your story is unique to you, but what an influence it would be to share it with somebody else. Therein lies your message.
Brilliant. And that's a really awesome message. People out there watching this, this is a great message for you to take away. It's something that we, each of us, should be considering. And we quite often listen to those people who say we don't, or even to our own inner voices that say, why should I? Why should I? What would be your two biggest tips, lessons that you've learned on this journey that you could give suggestions for people?
Only two.
Only two, sweetie, only two.
My two biggest tips would be, I've always been somebody that has been focused. My Vision to Win story shows of the focus to win a gold medal. So I've already had the lane defined for me. And I've been able to bring that through to my adult life to stay congruent, on track, on path, in the swimming lane, in the fast track lane, because that end goal out there is what I'm reaching for. And so be focused, be totally in alignment with what that end goal is. Do one thing every day as long as it's in alignment with the end goal. Otherwise, you'll end up going over here or you might go over there. This is how this book got written. It was 3 years apart. But the bottom line is I stayed congruent with what the end result was. The journey about me, and I'm being able to share that. The second point would probably be, whilst focus is such a driving factor in me, it's also being true to myself. I've studied Think and Grow Rich 3 times as an example. So I've gone out and I've learned other things. I've gained more knowledge. I've kept that knowledge to myself in some ways, but shared it with many and others. It's getting that knowledge and being so true to yourself that your end result is going to be a better outcome for you. Focus, being true to yourself. Trish, is probably the 2 utmost important ones from my perspective.
Awesome.
I could write a book on that, you know.
You could write a book on that. Absolutely. I think those are 2 very great tips for people. For those of you watching this audience, when you do focus and when you be true to yourself and you go that way, you can achieve brilliant things. And look what our guest today has achieved. I think she walks her talk. You can see that she does focus and she is true to herself, and this is where she's come from. Janice, who's influenced you the most, would you say?
Ooh. Who's influenced me the most? Look, I've probably got 2 people that come to mind, and they're in the celebrity range, but they're people that I've kind of followed, but not followed religiously. And one of them is Olivia Newton-John.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much, well, yeah, see, I love acting as well, so that's an area that, you know, I would be happy to move into in some way, shape or form. But at the same time, Richard Branson's vision.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you look at those 2 people and you see what they've achieved, the fact that Olivia's bounced back after her own partner's loss, you know, what she's actually witnessed in her own personal journey around her own health. You know, she's been, to me, a woman of inspiration. And Richard Branson has been that long vision entrepreneur, a long vision philanthropist in some way, shape or form, you know, to make this world a better place. Even though his vision is way out there into the galactic seasons and whoop-de-doo-dahs out there. But the thing is, he's wanting to improve this universe. And I, yeah, whilst I say I didn't follow them religiously, but I got inspired with them. You know, the uncanny part was I've heard Richard Branson speak live. And he, yeah, still has that tenacity because he seems to have that vision. It's so big and it's so focused. You know, the small questions don't matter. He's just looking at that bigger perspective. I think we heard 30 minutes of him speaking live 12 months ago. Yeah, interesting times. So Olivia Newton-John and Richard Branson.
Awesome. And I can see how they are the people that influence you, because you have a big vision yourself and you're so very much about the vision, and that would, Richard Branson would really relate. And of course, Olivia Newton-John, you relating personally to her tenacity and her growth. Awesome.
Well, look what she's done for the cancer industry by creating an industry that is trying to help people that go through cancer, but from the healthier perspective rather than the chemical perspective. You know, she's entrepreneurial in so many other ways as well. So, you know, there's hope.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, you have a free offer for our viewers. What would that be?
Well, for our viewers today, if they are interested in the purchase of this book, whoops, let's get the camera right. Yep, there we go. Over there, Jen, over there, move over.
That's it, you got it, you got it.
In the purchase of this book for $27.50, including of postage, I will include the book called, whoops, here we go, The Well-Used Key. Now, whilst this book is primarily designed for teenagers, it's actually an inspiration for parents to realise just little things that they may be doing that they're not an inspiration back to the teenager. So the Well-Used Key will be part of a complimentary copy to go with let me get this off my chest from me. And you just never know, there might be a little autograph inside.
Awesome. Thank you. Look, just to repeat that, when you purchase a copy from Janice of Let Me Get This Off My Chest, which is her latest book, and it's an awesome book and a great read, she's going to throw in free of charge for you a copy of The Well-Used Key, which again is got a lot of great information, not just for teenagers, but for those others, for us adults reading it. We can also pick up an awful lot. And they can get that copy of Let Me Get This Off My Chest where? From janicemuir.com/book.
That's it. Under the books heading, I'm just trying to think. Yes, I've got to find a way now to make certain that whoever comes in buying it out from this date onwards.
Well, what I would suggest, if you purchase a copy through that, and it's because you've been watching this particular show, then just send an email to Janice with a receipt of whatever,
yes,
a copy of your purchase, and say, I've bought this book and I got it watching Get Known Be Seen Web TV, and she will then include the free copy.
So the email for that, Trish, because that's not written up above.
In the email.
Email is Janice M, so that's JANICE with a M, at janicemuir.com.
Absolutely easy. And that email and those details for the book and the email will be below this particular episode. You'll be able to see them there. Awesome. And if you need to contact Janice Muir, where else, Janice, can you see you all over social media?
Look, that social media stuff, I mean, we get around a little bit. So Janice Muir on Facebook, LinkedIn is also Janice Muir. I try and use that as predominant my branding name. Well, it is my name, but it's also part of who I am. So, yes, find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. They all go through to Twitter and Instagram because everything is linked with me. I'm not a big Instagram person nor a Twitter, but the flow-on effect is already happening. So I look forward to connecting with you if you wish to connect with me.
And that'd be brilliant. If you've got any questions, if you want to know more about Janice and her books, you can do so. Again, those links will be below here, and you'll be able to go down to see them. Janice, we could be speaking for ages about vision and about where you come from and what you do, because you've got so much to share with people. Thank you so much for being on Get Known Be Seen Web TV for us today in this particular episode.
Trish, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for asking.
You've been watching Get Known Be Seen Web TV. I'm Trish Springsteen, your host. If you would like to be a guest on Get Known Be Seen Web TV, just send me a PM. You'll find my details below as well to be able to send me an email. I'll welcome you as a guest. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it around with your community. And don't forget to hit that little subscribe button at the bottom of here. You'll see it. It's the big thing, subscribe. That will mean that you will always be notified of any new shows that come up, and you'll see that. In today's show, we've been speaking with Janice Muir. Janice has shared with us her latest book, Let Me Get This Off My Chest. She's shared with us her journey of her other books that she's written and her life. She's also shared 2 tips with us, which is about focus and being true to yourself. I'm Trish Springsteen. I'm your host for Get Known Be Seen Web TV. I am a creative business consultant. I'm Australia's leading expert in empowering introverts. I'm a multi-international award-winning mentor, and I'm also an author. If you would like to work with me to see how you can get known, be seen Web TV on my Web TV, or get known, be seen out there to share your book, your message, just send me put a comment below, or PM me on Facebook, or send me an email. Until next time, be awesome, and we'll be back with another episode of Get Known, Be Seen Web TV. Bye.